Okay, this video is about some of the 400 different types of therapy. In other words, we have a therapy supposedly making an individual feel better. These are different types of therapy. Uh, Total, I suppose there's about 400. I haven't counted them. But anyway, this is a figure that is thrown around about the number of therapies. You want to remember, we're going to go through some of these therapies now that they had in the past, just to give you an overview. But we also want to remember that this is the day and age before you popped a pill. This was the day and age before. If a child was fidgety and misbehaving, it was a naughty child. They hadn't invented ADHD, attention deficit disorder. That was not in play yet. So going down through these therapies, a couple of them have been in play. Matter of fact, there's still some of these therapies being used today, and they're quite effective. But there are some that kind of are on the bound, they're on the fringe of really being effective. Birthing really isn't that old of a therapy. That's the first one that's listed here. And basically what these individuals stated, who were proponents of birthing, was that if an individual has some type of emotional problem, that it was a result of some traumatic event that happened in the birth canal at the time, perinatal, at the time that the child was born. So what was necessary then was to have the child re-experience the birthing process and hopefully come to grips with whatever concerns they had. But they individuals who, like I say, who were proponents of birthing thought that the cause was related to the birthing aspect. An example of this, they would take children, 9, 10, 11-year-old children, and wrap them up in a tight sheet, and then they would put blankets around them, trying to give them the feeling of re-experiencing the birth. You know, this is really a rebirth, I guess, or an attempt at a rebirth. But anyway, they would put blankets around them, and they would put sheets around them, and then they would set that on them. I know one instance there where 4 individuals were sitting on them, and if, you know, give or take a few pounds, those 4 individuals weighed about 600 pounds, you could readily see how this could affect the child. The child cried out, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, and pretty soon the birthing process did work. The child quieted down. Well, when they unwrapped the child, it was obvious that the child was dead. They had killed the child in the process. So that is birthing. Then they used hot and cold water techniques. They would spray them with hot water and then cold water and then hot water. Mystical rituals taking place, and we still have some of them going on, appealing to a higher power. Yeah, prayer. And there's nothing wrong with prayer, I don't think. If you oppose prayer, that's your preference, that's your ideology, that's fine. Fumigation of the vagina to lure the uterus in position. The problem that women were having, if they had some type of emotional distress, the uterus is out of position. Well, music we still use today, and music is quite acceptable. Aroma is used today. Art therapy is very powerful, particularly in the school districts. And I've put these together, just going back and forth with them. At one time, bloodletting was the process and procedures that should be used. Laxatives were used in this. Scrolling down in here, tobacco. They felt as though that tobacco would have some type of healing effect, just like at one time they considered cocaine to be very effective in the healing process. And this really hasn't been that long ago. These individuals were put into dungeons, hoping that for some reason being isolated would help them come to grips with what was going on. Folks, these dungeons were not cleaned. There was no type of sanitation in these dungeons. I'm going to let you imagine the rest. Amulets, objects worn to ward off evil. And yeah, we have St. John's wort. That's to help soothe a troubled mind. Salem was the sanctuary. In England, they have a place called Bedlam, which now, or Bethlehem, excuse me, which now is turned to Bedlam. And when we hear the word Bedlam, we think of some type of uproar or confusion. They had the gyrating chair that they would spin individuals. And we can't forget Mesmer, evolved from mesmerizing, and he would place individuals in a hot tub of water, and then he would go around and touch them in certain places with a stick, light, gentle touch with a stick, and then they would sit in this hot water that would have some type of a hypnotic effect. So there are more that I even listed here. But nonetheless, as you study these individuals and study the different processes that's used as a therapy, it will give you an idea of what has been used in the past. Now remember, we're studying theories of personality. The theories of personality will lead to a therapeutic procedure. And it's a way of living. It's a way of living. I mean, if we boil it down to really a foundation type approach, the theories are a way of living, and a quite effective way of living. So hope all is going well with the Big Ten, with going with your courses. Hope the semester started out okay. And if you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, I would really suggest doing the Big Ten. We will be working in forums. And our next video then will be a very brief, but what I feel a very important aspect of theories of personality. And that is a brief history of some of the approaches and some of the historical guideposts that have taken place, and it kind of gives us a feel and an idea of where and how personalities and personality types have really came about. So, until I see you on the next video, then you have a good day and happy Sakaiing.